What the f? What the f is this? Alright, let's get back to some basics for this episode.
Everyone that I use for the examples has given me the go-ahead to do so. I'm going to talk massive about them. I mean, they've never made a mistake in their lives.
First, let's talk about teamfight positioning before we take a look at some examples. In a default team comp, you want the bruiser and tank to stand parallel with each other at the front, thus forming the front line. Behind the front line should be the two DPS standing on opposite sides, making the back line. The back line always wants to be spread, so AoE abilities won't hit both and apply more pressure than necessary. This is especially important against things like Great Curse, Permafrost, Axes, Hellion Jackets, Stalker Jackets, Hood of Tenacity, and so on. So yeah, DPS, stay spread. Last up is the healer, and they should usually position behind both of the DPS. I know as someone who has tried healing that the temptation to move forward to get heals on the front line is high, but you need to resist that temptation and tell your front line to come back for heals. Putting the healer at risk is the quickest way to lose a Hellgate fight. Now let's take a look back at the terrible examples I showed in the first couple of seconds in the video and explain why it's bad positioning. Both of the examples I'm going to go over have effectively the same scenario. The teams have killed the side bosses and are now coming to mid to fight as the big boss spawns. This first fight is basically over before it starts because of how out of position Duke, a ranged DPS, is. I mean, he's in line with me, the tank, when we have no idea what the enemy team comp is, and guess what? It's a dive comp. The comp that wants to get to the ranged DPS as fast as possible to kill them, and Duke does it for them by walking to the front line. The enemy team uses everything on him, and despite the Judicator armor and Graveguard helmet, Duke is dead within 15 seconds of me seeing the enemy name tags. Moving on to the second fight, we have Blue and Toilet Paper on ranged DPS, Endless on melee DPS, and Ginger as our healer. The enemy team engages on us, and we do a good job of not taking too much damage and applying pressure on them. I start getting low, so I come back for heals to go back in, which is when Toilet goes from his good position on the east side to now clumping up with his other DPS on the west side. Both of them push forward as Endless starts getting low, and we now have a massive 3-person clump with all of our DPS to eat all of these frost Qs, with a big Curse Pierce to really start applying pressure on us. Ginger expects us to get a fat reset, so we pull back, but he accidentally breezes a person with 0 stacks instead of the person he just put 3 on, and well, that's about all she wrote. There were other mistakes made, but positioning was a key factor in both of those lost fights. One being the starting position, and the other being clumping up. Really quickly, I want to take a look at a fight when our team does a very good job at maintaining good positioning throughout the entire fight. At the start of this fight, the enemy tank gets a 2-man snare charge onto us. Notice that neither of the ranged DPS actually get caught in it because of how far apart they are. I come back in an attempt to drop Judy for our backline. I see their breeze go off, so I come forward to interrupt the reset and send their bruiser straight into my backline. But because of their good positioning, only one of them takes any noticeable damage. We secure a good kill, and everyone continues pushing forward. They clump up to get the kill on the tank, but they almost immediately spread back out, and it's clean up from here. There are very few things that will end a fight as quickly as bad positioning. So when you do see the enemy team, have your ranged DPS call out which side they will be sticking to. That's it for this episode, but as a final note, I did rework my Patreon tiers to give more to the lower tiers, so check it out over at patreon.com/frosty2200. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys out there.